The life of an onmyoji, or court wizard, is one of study, devotion, and often boredom. Low-ranking members are tasked with casting magical divinations and tending to the magical wards that guard the palace, and endlessly copying scrolls. More powerful members work great magic, conjuring kami or binding oni, even speaking with the great dragons that protect the empire. But an initiate can only dream of such deeds, unless, of course, a goddess decides to send him on a quest. Hi, everyone, and welcome to an inspiring episode of
The Dungeon Crashers.
I'm Guy.
And I'm Zapil. This is the final member of our Metallic Dragonborn party, and we have put up a poll to decide on what we do next, so make sure to cast your vote. As of right now, Tiefling is winning at 31%, with Goblin right behind at 27%. The best way to make sure you don't miss the poll is to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss that or any of our exciting D&D content. While you're at it, please like our video and share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Our last member is going to be the Gold Dragonborn, and he is the party's wizard. We are using the Metallic Dragonborn from Fitzbin's Treasury of Dragons. They have metallic ancestry tracing back to one of the metallic dragons, in this case gold, which this ancestry gives them certain abilities. They have resistance to fire, and they have a breath weapon, which is a 15-foot cone of flame. When taking an attack action, they can replace one of their attacks with the breath weapon. Creatures in the cone must make a dexterity save against the save DC equal to 8, plus the Dragonborn's proficiency and constitution modifiers. They can use this breath weapon a number of times per long rest equal their proficiency modifier. They also get a metallic breath weapon at 5th level, and we will discuss it then. Dragonborn are medium size, but often stand taller than humans, and have a movement speed of 30 feet. They speak common and one language that the player and DM find appropriate, and we are taking Draconic. Dragonborn get the ability boosts found in Fitzbin's, which are 3+1 boosts that we can put anywhere but no more than 2 on the same ability. Using the point buy, we put an 8 on strength. Our hero is a scholar, not a laborer or warrior. We put a 13 on dexterity, making it 14 with the first bonus point, and we put a 13 on constitution, making it 14 with the second bonus point. His training involves keeping fit and agile. We put a 15 on intelligence, making it 16 with the last bonus point. This is our casting stat and will be used for most of his skills. We put a 12 on both wisdom and charisma, as both meditation and courtly manners are also included in his training. We are using the cloistered scholar background from Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, but we are modifying it a little. It gives the skills history and your choice of one from Arcana, Religion, and Nature, and we are taking Religion, as his order has as much interaction with the gods and kami as the priests do. The background normally gives 2 languages, but we are trading one for a tool proficiency, which we will be taking calligraphy supplies. He spends long hours copying scrolls and expected to be beautiful and without error. For the languages, we are taking Celestial, as it is a language spoken by many of the kami and other spirits. The feature of this background is library access. He can freely use the libraries in his order, although some areas might be restricted, and he will receive favorable treatment in other libraries he visits in his travels. This feature seems a little unimpressive on the surface, but depending on your DM, it can be very useful. With the investigation skill and some knowledge, researching in the library can be a great way to prepare for an adventure, especially if the DM is on board with it and they may reveal hints and clues that your party wouldn't have gotten otherwise. His first level and every level will be Wizard. He gets 2 skills from the Wizard list, and he chooses Investigation and Arcana, as both are useful with his studies. Wizards gain no proficiency with armor and shields, and only gains weapon proficiencies with daggers, darts, slings, staffs, and light crossbows. This is fine, though, because magic is his weapon and armor. He does carry a dagger because it is useful and is always good to have prepared. He gets spellcasting and can use an arcane focus instead of material components as long as the components don't have a gold piece cost. He is also a ritual caster and casts any spell in his spellbook that has a ritual tag by extending the casting time to 10 minutes, even if he doesn't have it prepared, as long as it is in his spellbook and it is in his possession. He begins play with his spellbook containing 6 first-level spells. He chooses Detect Magic and Identify, as both are useful rituals, and Divinations is one of his duties. He also takes Find Familiar because summoning spirits is also important to his order. He will want a familiar that will be a good scout. A bird or a bat would be good choices. He is also trained in magical wards, and he has mage armor and shield in his book. Lastly, he needs a spell to fight enemies with, and he chooses Sleep, At low levels, this is one of the most powerful things a wizard can do in a fight, but it loses effectiveness when enemies start getting more powerful. He also knows 3 cantrips, and he chooses Message, Minor Illusion, and Mind Sliver. Mind Sliver is an insidious cantrip. Its damage is mediocre, but it targets intelligence, which a lot of enemies are weak against, and it weakens the target's saving throws against future attacks, including additional castings of Mind Sliver. Wizards are prepared casters and can prepare a number of spells equal to their wizard level plus their intelligence modifier, and can only prepare spells that are in their spell book. They gain additional spells as they gain levels, and can also add spells that they find on their travels to the book. Wizards also gain Arcane Recovery, letting them regain spell slots equal to half their wizard level during a short rest, but only can do this once before taking a long rest, and the spell slots can't be higher than 6th level. The spell slots regained in this way can be divided however a wizard chooses. For example, a 4th level wizard could choose to regain 1 2nd level slot or 2 1st level ones.
One of our hero's duties in the palace was tending to the wards, the pillars surrounding the palace that contain the spells that keep out enemies both mortal and supernatural must be cleaned and polished daily, and a ritual of divination must be performed to verify that the magic of the pillars remains strong. Our hero was performing this task and began performing the ritual when the spell seemed to go wrong. Instead of simply detecting magic, he instead received a vision of the future. He saw great armies of kobolds, lizardfolk, and chromatic dragonborn marching under the banner of Tiamat. Great worms flew overhead, breathing fire, acid, and lightning onto the forces opposing the army. At the head of the army he saw a black dragonborn wielding powerful magic against the champions of good that tried to fight the army. As he recovered his senses, he knew he must tell his superiors what he saw. After finishing his rounds, he sought out the powerful wizards that led his order, but to no avail. They dismissed his vision as imagination or dreams while sleeping on the job, claiming he lacked the training to foresee events. Frustrated, our hero took to studying everything he could find about Tiamat and her worshippers. During his studies, he had further visions, some of destruction, but also visions of heroes who could oppose this army of evil. Knowing that his superiors would not take him seriously, he decided to seek these heroes himself. So gathering his spellbook and his few possessions, he left the palace and set out to seek his destiny. At 2nd level wizard, he adds 2 more spells to his book, and he chooses Silvery Barbs for another good defensive spell, and Protection from Good and Evil to ward off hostile spirits. He also chooses an Arcane Tradition. Among his order are Scribes, who specialize in the writing and formula of spells, Conjurers, who call upon the kami, Diviners, who foresee the future, and Abjurers, who master the magic of protective wards. Our hero becomes an abjurer, as that has been the focus of his studies. He is an abjuration savant, requiring only half the time and gold normally required to copy abjuration spells into his book, and he gains an arcane ward. When he casts his first abjuration spell of the day, of 1st level or higher, which will typically be mage armor, a ward forms around him. It has hit points equal to twice his wizard level, plus his intelligence modifier, so 7 at this level. When he takes damage, the ward absorbs as much of it as it can, losing hit points instead of the wizard. When the ward is at 0 hit points, it can't absorb any more damage, but it remains, and whenever he casts an abjuration spell, the ward regains hit points equal to twice the level of the spell, so casting shield would add 2 points to the ward. So now our hero effectively has both increased hit points and healing. The ward does not count as temporary hit points, so the wizard could benefit from spells like False Life as well. At 3rd level, he gains the ability to prepare 2nd level spells, and can add 2 more spells to his book. He chooses Mirror Image for even more defense, and Rhyme's Binding Ice for a strong area of effect damage spell that can also immobilize enemies. As he sets out on his journey, he encounters many signs of the rising evil, and he uses his magic to protect those that he can. One morning, as he rises with dawn, he receives another vision. In this vision, a beautiful gold dragon appears before him. He recognizes her instantly as Tassila, the Dragon of the Dawn. In a pure and melodious voice, she says to him, "As you have entered my service, I will bestow a gift upon you, the power to armor yourself in twilight as you face my enemies." And then the vision ends as soon as it began, and our hero sits for a time contemplating his vision and his newfound power. At 4th level wizard, he gains an ability score improvement or a feat, and he takes the Eldritch Adept feat, allowing him to take 1 warlock invocation, and he takes Armor of Shadows, which lets him cast mage armor at will without using a spell slot. In addition to saving him spell slots and freeing up another spell he can prepare, casting this also heals his ward 2 points each casting. Since the round is 6 seconds, he can heal his ward 12 hit points in just a minute, which will restore it to full at this level. He can also add 2 more spells to his book, and he chooses Scorching Ray for a powerful range attack. He also takes Augury, which is a powerful divination and is a ritual, so he can cast it regularly without wasting spell slots. Repeated castings in the same day become less reliable, so it's best to use it strategically. He learns another cantrip as well, and he chooses Firebolt as a stronger alternative to Mindsliver.
At 5th level wizard, he gains the ability to prepare 3rd level spells and can add 2 more spells to his book. First, he chooses Fireball because it is one of the most powerful area of effect spells, and because of his Gold Dragon ancestry gives him an affinity for fire. He also chooses Counterspell to protect against the magic of evil spellcasters. His cantrips improve here, adding an additional dice of damage. As I said earlier, he gets his Metallic Breath weapon now. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of your attacks with an escalation in a 15-foot cone. The save DC for this breath weapon is 8 plus your Constitution modifier and your proficiency bonus. Whenever you use this breath weapon, choose one of 2 options. Innervation Breath, each creature in the cone must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or become incapacitated until the start of your next turn. Or Repulsion Breath, each creature in the cone must succeed on a Strength saving throw or be pushed 20 feet away from you and be knocked prone. Once you use your Metallic Breath weapon, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. At 6th level of Wizard, he gains the ability to project his wards to guard his allies. When a creature within 30 feet takes damage, he can use his reaction to cause the ward to take the damage instead. This is very useful. As our hero has a number of protective spells, he may find himself not taking much damage for his ward to absorb, so he can afford to use it to protect his friends. However, this does use his reaction, meaning that he can't use Shield, Silvery Barbs, or Counterspell on the same round, so be careful when using this. He can also add 2 more spells to his book. Normally, wizards focusing on defense would take Blink because it is an excellent defense that doesn't require concentration. But an Observe's job is to protect his allies, and being blinked out half the time prevents him from reliably using Counterspell and Silvery Barbs. So instead, he takes Dispel Magic to increase his ability at thwarting enemy spellcasters. He also takes Summon Fey to call Kami to aid him. At 7th level, he gets the ability to prepare 4th level spells, and he can add 2 more spells to his book. He chooses Summon Elemental to call even stronger Kami to service, and Banishment to send away enemy spirits called by his enemies. At 8th level, he gains another ability score improvement or a feat, and he takes Elemental Adept feat for fire. His affinity for fire becomes so strong that his fire spells ignore resistance to fire damage, and he treats a roll of a 1 on a damage dice from a fire spell as if it were a 2. This is especially effective when rolling lots of smaller dice, such as a Fireball and Scorching Ray. He adds 2 more spells to his book, and he chooses Arcane Eye to help him scout for danger, and Divination for another powerful ritual of foreseeing the future. At 9th level, he is able to prepare 5th level spells and adds 2 more spells to his book. He takes Summon Draconic Spirit to call aid from his patron dragon, and Teleportation Circle to assist in his travels. At 10th level of Wizard, he gains Improved Abjuration. When casting a spell such as Counterspell and Dispel Magic that require an ability check, he can add his proficiency modifier to the roll. This makes him unmatched at thwarting the schemes of enemy spellcasters. He also adds 2 more spells to his book and adds Synaptic Static for an area of effect psychic attack that damage and hampers enemies. He also adds Legend Lore for another powerful divination. Although it is sadly not a ritual, it is still an excellent tool to have available. He also learns another cantrip, and he chooses Control Flame to reflect his increasing affinity for fire.
During his travels, he encounters the heroes he saw in his vision and convinces them to join forces. Among them is a brass dragonborn monk who is also gifted with visions from Tassila and has been gathering forces as well. With him are 2 samurai, one who is accompanying the monk on orders from his master, and the other is Ronin, who lost his master and is on a quest for redemption. With him are a company of other masterless men, Ronin, former bandits, and mercenaries turned hero. Our hero brings with him a copper dragonborn maiden of incredible skill with both weapons and magic. She also has charm to match her great beauty, and her clever words have gained the group many converts and allies, as well as support from local lords. At 11th level, he gets the ability to prepare 6th level spells and adds 2 more to his book, and adds Glow of Invulnerability to further increase his might against enemy spellcasters. Although the black dragonborn from his vision has yet to face him in battle, he is prepared for their meeting. He also takes Disintegrate for a ranged attack powerful enough to stagger even the strongest of foes. His cantrips also improve, gaining a 3rd dice of damage. At 12th level, he gets another ability score improvement or feat, and he increases intelligence to 18. As his enemies get more powerful, he needs to increase the accuracy of his spells and the difficulty of resisting them. He can also add 2 more spells to his spellbook, and he chooses Summon Fiend, allowing him to bind foul Oni to his service and command them to fight for the forces of good. And he takes Fitzfin's Platinum Shield, which is a powerful ward that can be used to protect himself and others, and it is of particular use when fighting Dragonkind, as it wards against their breath weapons. At 13th level, he is able to prepare 7th level spells, and can add 2 to his book. He chooses Plane Shift. The battle against the forces of Tiamat has spread to encompass many planes of existence, and our hero must be ready to go wherever he is needed. He also takes Force Cage, allowing him to contain or imprison his foes. Our hero and his companions have become mighty champions of good, hounding the forces of evil across many lands and many planes. A vast army stands behind them, but the war goes poorly. The enemies are powerful and numerous. Our heroes see victory after victory, only to see the forces of Tiamat rise again with even greater numbers.
At 14th level of Wizard, our hero receives the greatest of the Abjurer's powers, the power of spell resistance. He has advantage on all saving throws against spells and has resistance to all damage from spells. This is incredible. Spells that don't deal damage are often things that can immediately defeat an opponent, such as holds, banishments, or dominations, and having advantage to save against these is wonderful. And many spells that deal damage offer a safer half damage, and with resistance to spell damage as well, he is always going to take half damage from spell attacks and frequently only quarter, and this assumes that he has encountered or blocked the spell in the first place. He can add 2 more spells to his spellbook, and he chooses Teleport to make traveling to engage his enemies even easier, and Draconic Transformation, allowing him to imbue himself with the powers of his dragon goddess and engage his foes in battle. At 15th level, he can prepare 8th level spells, and he can add 2 more to his book. He chooses Incendiary Cloud to either send fiery doom billowing across the battlefield at his foes, or to create a flaming barrier that his enemies must fight through to reach him. He also takes Feeble Mind for another powerful weapon against enemy spellcasters. At 16th level, he gets another ability score improvement or a feat, and he increases his constitution to 16. While his ward has protected him from damage and spared him from frequent concentration checks, it isn't flawless, and he needs more hit points and better constitution saves. He can also add 2 more spells to his spellbook, and he chooses Sunburst to channel the power of the dawn and Dominate Monster to quickly subdue powerful minions of evil. At 17th level, he can prepare 9th level spells, and he can add 2 more spells to his book. For the first, he chooses Meteor Swarm. It is without question the most powerful damage spell in the game, and it works with his elemental adept ability. For the second, he chooses Invulnerability, which, as the name suggests, makes him completely immune to all damage. His cantrips improve for a final time, getting a 4th dice of damage. At 18th level, he gains the ability that makes going straight to 18th level without multiclassing worth it, Spell Mastery. He chooses 1 first and 1 second level spell from his spellbook and can now cast them at their given level without using a spell slot. The first level choice is obviously Shield. Having an at-will ability is incredibly powerful, and it heals your ward. Silvery Barbs would be an excellent choice as well. On a wizard of a different school, it might be even better, but as an Abjurer, Shield is the best pick. For the second, he chooses Mirror Image. Even though it is not an Abjuration spell, it is a powerful defensive spell that will be even more effective when he can use it every battle without using up his spell slots. And since it doesn't require concentration, he could use it alongside other defenses such as Blur or Protection from Evil. He can also add 2 more spells to his spellbook, and the first is Wish. Even without risking using its higher power function, it is still versatile and powerful, capable of solving most problems, and every wizard should carry it. He chose Invulnerability last level for flavor reasons and because it suits the character, but taking Wish at 17th level is usually the better choice. For the second, he takes Gate. It gives a more efficient means of planar travel, and it can call powerful entities to help your fight. It doesn't give any control over the creature he calls with it, but if he chooses a powerful celestial and it is fighting devils, it's probably going to help. Also in our game, a wizard can make agreements with extraplanar creatures, offering them something in return for them coming to help when called by Gate. At 19th level, he gets another ability score improvement or a feat, and he's going to cap his intelligence at 20 for maximum effectiveness with his spells. He also adds 2 more spells to his spellbook. By this point, he has probably added a wealth of spells to his book, so use these to fill any weaknesses or get spells for specific tasks. For example, getting Magic Circle and Planar Binding can get him powerful minions. Getting Clone can grant effective immortality, and Gias is another way to get minions. Finally, at 20th level, he gets Signature Spells, which are 2 spells of 3rd level from his spellbook, and he has them always prepared, and they don't count against the number of spells he can prepare. And he can cast those spells without using a spell slot once between short or long rest. He chooses Counterspell because it is one of the most important spells, and free uses are always welcome. He could choose Dispel Magic because it is another staple spell for him, but it doesn't come up as often as Counterspell, and he should have enough uses with his spell slots. Instead, he chooses Fireball. He is prone to using his spells for defense rather than attacking, and he also likes to have spell slots available for summon spells, so getting free uses of an attack magic is great. And with an affinity for fire magic, a free Fireball every rest is going to add a lot of power.
After years of battle, the forces of good have failed to stem the tide of Tiamat's rising evil. Though they have won countless battles, victory in the war is slipping away, but all hope isn't lost. Ancient metallic dragons and powerful celestials have joined the fight, and the ranks swell with humans, dwarves, elves, and other good folk. There is still time to change the course of the war, and the forces of good will never surrender. This character is every bit as powerful as you would expect a 20th level wizard to be. His ward not only protects his hit points, but protects his concentration, letting him make good use of summon spells. His Elemental Adept feat lets him deal excellent damage with a limited amount of spells prepared. Upcasting Scorching Ray and Fireball is as effective as many higher level spells, and he has some options for enemies that are immune to fire. Immunity to fire is his biggest weakness, since Elemental Adept doesn't overcome it, but he can generally make do. He also suffers from the same weakness as most wizards have, in that when his magical defenses fail, he's pretty fragile. But he has a lot of magical defenses, and he has a variety of ways to attack. He also hasn't neglected divination and utility spells. If you have any questions, comments, or build requests, please leave them in the comments section below. This wraps up the Metallic Dragonborn party and the story of the Dragon War. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll vote in the poll to determine what race we're going to feature next. In the meantime, our next video is going to be directed at DMs. We're going to feature some NPCs from our campaign, and rather than doing full builds, we're going to detail what they are at the level we use them at, and talk about making compelling NPCs for a campaign. We hope you'll join us for that, and until then, cheers!